All right, Leon. So it is 4:30 a.m. and I have been awake since 1 a.m. It's been quite a night, actually, and I wanted to talk to you, tell you some things, hopefully get a response. And I thought it would be longer than video messages or whatever, and I'm living through my phone entirely too much, so I thought I'd send you this message via a YouTube video. One of the things that I have been trying to go for is like an ultra transparency and an ultra honesty. I feel that a lot of people are really hemmed in by the inability to just be who they are. And so I've been trying to do that with my journal, diary style blog posts and stuff like that. And with these messages. Now, I'm not sure this would be a good thing to put on YouTube or not, but I'm going to go ahead and send you this video and we'll see how it goes. Anything I put on YouTube can be taken down later after it's been reviewed for what kind of image that it produces or effect that it has or whatnot. So I kind of look at everything that I have online on social media as a draft done by a complete unknown, and I figure I can go ahead and put some stuff up there. And I thought this would be a good opportunity to put something up there to you. So, in the story, there's this really strong man-woman arc that seems to be recurring. When I went to Los Angeles, I had horrific problems with women, and women are related to my post-traumatic stress disorder because I came back from Iraq and went through a divorce and had problems with women in the army. And what's been going on lately has been also related to these strange coincidences that I'm trying to catalog on this journey to show that life is not just guided by the law of probability, but it's actually designed and has themes. In philosophy, there's basically two big ways to look at things, and one is that you're just dreaming everything, and the other one is that so the world around you is just going to be a reflection of you. And I've got aspects of that cataloged on my blog and in the story, but the other one that I'm really very interested in is the fact that there is a God that designs things and causes certain things to happen to us. And the paradigm that I work through is that there's basically God or the angels, the good team, and the devil and demons or whatever, the bad team. And one of the things that I've noticed is that every time I try and take an effort to finish this trip, there's opposition that comes up. Now, I do actually believe in angels and demons as spirits or superior beings, higher beings, otherworldly beings, things like that are people, that are consciousnesses like us in a way. But I also believe in these things as tendencies and patterns, and I think the concept of Satan or the devil in the Bible is the force or pattern of opposition that we feel. And every time I try and take efforts to finish this trip, this opposition seems to be showing up. And it seems to be showing up just recently in the form of, you guessed it, problems with women. So the first thing that happened actually is that my half-sister put a put a video, or no, put a post about pregnancy, her pregnancy journey on Facebook. And I commented on, she wanted to know people's pregnancy stories, and I commented on it that as a part of my telling my pregnancy story, that I slept with my wife against her will in order to get her pregnant, in order to have a child. And I didn't think that that was terribly unusual, because in my life and my marriage and with girlfriends, I have had sex when I was not in the mood. That was against my will. You know, she's in the mood, I'll do my duty, kind of a thing. In fact, that's actually characterized quite a bit of my sex life toward the end of my marriage. And well, she got egregiously offended by this and said it was rape. And there's actually, in politics and stuff, you know, can you really rape your wife? I mean, if you know, you guys' bodies belong to each other according to the Bible, and a lot of people disagree, and they say it's actually impossible to rape your wife. She may not be in the mood, or she may not want it, but you know, I mean, it's a spousal issue. You know, and there's nuances of that as well. I mean, if you're tying somebody up or punching them in the face or whatever, it's probably rape. But if you're, you know, if your wife doesn't, you know, isn't in the mood and you go for it anyway, you know, it's probably not rape. My wife has said horrific things about me to family and friends, exaggerations, deep secrets, bald-faced lies, all kinds of stuff. And she never told anybody that I raped her, okay? So I was a little shocked by this. Didn't know how to react. I'm still trying to work through it with my dad, if I can concentrate on it enough to take care of, you know, to resolve the issue. But at the same time then, what ended up happening was at this Christian Bible study that I go to, all of a sudden the women started hating me. Okay, I made a comment. I made a comment on the WhatsApp group about something to do with women. I can't even really remember the details right now. And everybody misinterpreted it as misogynistic. And you know, there is actually a one of the ladies there that I don't particularly like. We don't really have anything in common, and she didn't seem to be able to pay attention to me in any way. I told her once that I was actually afraid of all the weird stuff in my life was some sort of an indication that I was developing schizophrenia, which is something that I am concerned about. And she didn't notice, you know, stuff like that. But other than that, I mean, and she said, well, you should, you know, her response is, you know, you need to be, I know you have problems with women, but you're rude to me. So I was like, uh-oh. But I don't know, I don't want to ramble too much. I think this one's going to be a lot longer than the 30 minutes that is recommended for these kind of vlogs or whatever you want to call them. But anyway, so right at that time, all the women in this Christian group came after me. And I was like, quite a coincidence. Then what ended up happening was related to a crew of waitresses that I've been hanging around with since I've been here. And I said in a previous video that I have daughter issues, and shortly after I got here, I ran into a waitress who had an incredibly sweet, wonderful soul at this Georgian restaurant that I was right around the corner from my apartment. And she reminded me of the sweet soul of my daughter, and I just took an instant liking to her. And of course, you know, yes, most men my age could date, you know, a beautiful young woman like this young woman was, but my interest in her was I think primarily that I was yearning for closeness to that energy of my daughter. As I don't know how much you know about the story, but I lost contact with my daughter during the trip, and we're sort of back in contact now and having relatively good conversations over text. But it's really hard to hear her voice, and she won't give me her phone number for some reason. I've asked for it a few times, and I don't know why, because otherwise we are talking pretty well. And I asked her also recently to help me with my corporation in the United States, which needs to have some stuff done with it, and she's a director of it, and she hasn't answered that either. So there are these frustrations that are going on, like if you have a good relationship with somebody, that they shouldn't have any problem giving you their phone number. They should want to talk to you sometimes. If you ask them a question, they should answer it, stuff like that. And so there's this sort of bizarre behavior going on with my daughter right now. But back to the story about these waitresses. One of the things about this waitress was I was flirtatious with her and kind to her and all this sort of stuff at various times, and then but she had a boyfriend, and to me this really wasn't a problem. I wasn't seriously considering dating her, but yeah, I think it was kind of a problem for her because she couldn't really conceive of me, or at least this is what I think, as anything but an older man who wanted to date her. And again, I mean, I could, at some point, but that wasn't really the primary thrust of, what I thought my interest in her was. Well, there was another waitress also that was there, kind of a really bizarre one, interesting, also pretty, and she also, I don't think, I didn't like her initially because I asked her where she was from, and she said she was from Dubai, which she really wasn't. And I'm interested in ultra transparency and people being honest about who they are and what they are into and so on and so forth, and being themselves. So I initially didn't like her, but at one point I was in the restaurant and I broke down in tears because my niece died of brain cancer, and she came out and was really, you could tell she was really kind of worried or wondered what was going on or cared about me. And I thought that was kind of interesting as well. Well, she didn't end up working there for too long. I think they fired her because she's kind of a weird person, back and forth on things. But I ended up, through one of the other waiters there, getting her phone number because I was actually, still interested in, I guess, having friendship and closeness and trust with a younger woman because I'd lost Chloe, I'd lost my daughter and kind of had her back, and I lost my stepdaughter Veronica. I had this thing, with this young woman, Noah Van Overkerk, when I was in Israel, and she's actually a central feature of my book that I wrote on Amazon. So I had this thing about young women, and I was interested in that other waitress, and I got her number, and I met her shortly for just a minute at the restaurant, and after she left, and she gave me her number, and then I started texting her, and she didn't like texting. I don't really like texting because I do it too much, and that's actually a part of what I hope to talk to you about here. And I was like, well, let's get together. And so we were going to get together, hang out at the restaurant, the Georgian restaurant, and she didn't show up. And so I sent her kind of an angry text or whatever, and she said, ultimately that she was working at another restaurant and told me where, she worked, or I found out where she worked and went and visited her there. Didn't have a chance to talk to her very much because she was working, which was kind of a frustrating thing with all, the waitress and waiter friends that I had at this Georgian restaurant, is you can't really have a one-on-one, close, direct conversation when they're always being called away to work. So it was really important for me to just be able to sit with this chick, face to face and have a conversation. Especially because I think she was she did mention to me one time offhand, I like older men. And I'm like, well, I could date a young lady, especially a good looking young lady, but, I'm conservative generally, and I like actual relationships, and big age gaps are inconvenient, they'll leave you when you get old or whatever, or the man, in a lot of cases, if he's not noble, will swap her out for an even younger one, the Leonardo DiCaprio complex, that sort of thing. So I think she also, these guys are all Ukrainian too, which has a more of a traditional type of a man-woman culture rather than the progressive stuff that I'm used to in California, and also from secular Israel, and Germany as well, secular Germany. The religious cultures in all these places have this sort of men are from Mars, women are from Venus, there's the different roles, and if an older man is going to be looking at a younger woman, it's going to be because he wants her as a girlfriend or for sex or whatever. And I'm pretty sure that she sees me that way, and I just want to sit across from the table from this chick and, be person to person and say, no. Or, yeah, I could date a younger woman, but one rule that I have, because my wife was never my friend, we lived in this men are from Mars and women are from Venus universe, and that's not the way that I like things to be. Whether or not I have a patriarchal role, if I'm the head of the family or the stronger personality or not, I like partnership and fundamental equality. I could wind up with a secular girl who is not interested in patriarchal or religiously mandated social roles, but I could pretty easily wind up being the top dog in the relationship just because my personality is, a little stronger, a little manlier in a lot of cases. I enjoy a fundamental equality and friendship underneath any kind of, role or patriarchy versus matriarchy or young versus old or anything along those lines. And so once again, we set a date to just meet and hang out at the beach, and she didn't show up. And so this is making me mad, right? Very frustrating to me. And so I'm starting to have more and more women problems, right? Just as I'm trying to wrap up this story, which has a number of arcs in it that could be, brought out in a documentary or some kind, or a book or some kind of a, artistic description of it that comes to be, this women thing keeps coming up. Interestingly, now that I'm trying to make contact with producers, trying to get good in front of the camera, and trying to get into Israel, trying to work on my immigration to Israel, just as I'm trying to focus on all of this stuff, more and more women problems pop up. And, I can't help but view it in terms of like the devil. Again, whether we're talking about disembodied consciousnesses of evil intent, malicious intent, or whether we're talking about this pattern of hostility, this opposition that shows up every time I try to complete this trip. Like something does not want me to complete this trip. And I'm not sure exactly how to describe it, because I've noticed that there's a lot of things that I have not finished in life. Okay? I didn't finish my marriage. I didn't finish my high school. I dropped out my senior year and got a GED, and then went to the Army, and then went to college later. I wasn't able to raise my children to adulthood because of my marriage. I had to do the divorced dad thing. And I've only finished one book. I didn't finish my Superman project that I was doing in Hollywood. There's just a lot of things in my life that I haven't finished. And also my personality, I tend to be one of these people that has more difficulties just before the finish line. When I'm doing something, just as I'm about to cross the finish line, things just become difficult to me. And I have a lot of unfinished things in life. So on the one hand, I'm trying to finish this trip, and all of these difficulties are coming up just as I'm trying to do that, and it's sort of like what's going on in the universe is a reflection of my personality. Quite interesting. But also on the other hand, I've noticed that I try and do things for God, and anytime I try and do something for God, there's opposition. So we call that the devil, demons, or whatever. And I have been running into quite a lot of these, okay? People are not answering emails, they're not being helpful, they're not answering texts, they're not answering calls. When calls get through, the answers are usually not helpful. That all has been going on, with the exception of one friend of mine, this nicotine pouch sponsor that and the investor, Katie's dad. Things have actually been quite helpful to me from this guy, and I'm thinking that there's something significant about it, like maybe God wants me to pursue this direction. And so I've got these two paradigms going. Life is a reflection of self. Life is a reflection of one's own personality. That's the way Eastern religion looks at a lot of things primarily, but you find a lot of it in the Bible, as I said in a previous post. But we find this issue of working for God versus the difficulties of working for God that come along, the devil, right? The opposition that comes whenever that happens. And so I thought that was interesting, that once again, just as I'm trying to do something for God, it's like it's like the devil is triggering me, okay? That my half-sister's mad at me, the women at church are mad at me, these waitresses are just pissing me off really big time, and confusing me, just will not sit next to me and look at me eye to eye to have a conversation so that I can explain to them who I really am. And then now I have you, okay? And I noticed that, for one, I remember when I was on the trip, I just about begged you to have a voice conversation with me, and you just would not do it, okay? And I still have not heard your voice in a long time. These texts that we've been doing lately are entirely text, except that I have sent you a couple of audio messages and video messages. But you're never there to pick up the phone when I call. Very strange. And you never send me a voice message or a video message. Also very strange. And it seems like, on the one hand, through the one paradigm, the you know, like you're a part of this demonic opposition to drive me crazy. And it's actually pretty interesting because and I'll send you the blog post on this, but when I was in Valencia in 2022 on my first bicycle trip, I was in a really bizarre conversation about women, and a guy told me, I was like, I'm afraid of women. I think they're gonna call me a sex predator all the time. And he said, no, that's not what's gonna happen. People are just going to try and make you crazy. They're going to look at you like you're crazy. And I thought that was a weird conversation, so I wrote it down. And here I am in Cyprus, literally feeling like I'm going crazy. One of the things that I feel like has, might be making me crazy, or that might be a sign of some kind of a schizophrenia or whatever, is all of these problems with technology that come up, just when I'm trying to, do something important. Seems to work when I'm wasting my time, but when I really want to get something done, like particularly related to Israel, phone calls didn't go through, and nobody answered emails. Emails went to junk, stuff like that. And of course, nobody really believes you when you try and tell them that this sort of stuff has been going on. Whenever something is related to Israel, like, my technological world falls apart. Not only related to Israel, but that's like kind of a really big one. And I've wondered what it is. I have thought, I might be going crazy, like an old lady that just can't figure out the remote control anymore, The technology just doesn't work. I have noticed that this stuff sort of is related to my mental state. And I think, I could, and I've said I can be developing some kind of technological dyslexia or something along those lines, but I don't really know what it is. But at other times, I have thought I might be being hacked. Maybe something I have said somewhere has made somebody angry, okay? And it's the age of AI. I have also gone into paranoid spells where I have kind of literally thought I have AI agents that are trying to mess up my phone. At other times, though, because there have been strange things out there in the media, conspiracies and stuff, like MK Ultra. I don't know if you're aware of that, but where the CIA was into magic and doing remote viewing to spy on people and stuff like that. Seeing people in your mind's eye, out-of-body experiences, all that. There's the Gateway Project. I don't know if you know about that, but using aural sounds to change mental states in order to create a kind of magic. The Soviets were into this kind of stuff too, and I've like, could something like this be real? I've been party to a number of strange mental states through, meditations and through drug episodes that I've had in my life. And I haven't really explained anything about my history with drugs to you. I put a lot of information about it on my blog, which is something else that's interesting. Nobody reads the thing, nobody reads that blog, and people just find a way to get distracted, or find a way to not pay attention to it. And it's sort of like the same issue that people have when they, it's like, it's easy to watch pornography for 6 hours, but it's really hard to read a chapter of the Bible, Whenever you want to read a chapter of the Bible, something always distracts you. You can't pay attention to it. This force of opposition. Not to say that my blog is scripture or anything like that, but it deals with a lot of spiritual stuff. One of the things that I have wanted to do with this trip, also another arc, is sort of bring the devil out into the open. In some of my rantier and more artistic, literary type of blogging that I've done, I've basically described myself, this journey of mine, as a war against the devil. And I tell you, it seems like there's a lot of truth to it, okay? Yeah. Let me collect myself. Let me have a little bit of pause before, because I'm at 30 minutes and I'm deciding on how much longer I'm gonna go and what I'm gonna say. Okay, so this video I'm gonna send you actually was based on what happened to me today. I had a very, very strange day today, very strange day, and it's been pretty strange for me for the last few days. But this issue of I'll just, to carry on from what I was saying before, this issue of thinking I'm going crazy has been a big deal lately. It's been a big deal all the way since I wrote my book back in 2020. What's the difference between enlightenment and insanity? And I've been noticing a couple of things now. One is I'm very, very alone here. I've indicated that in previous videos. And I'm always reaching out to other people. Like, very infrequently do other people shoot me a text or send me a video message or call me on the phone. Only one guy does that, as far as I can tell. He doesn't do it very often. I've got millions of people that I'm trying to get a hold of, I'm reaching out to, and a lot of times they don't answer back. And so when I thought about you, I was thinking about these other women and this inability to sort of relate to women as a friend, that there's this world where I am just seen as a man, and that I am reacted to as if I am a valid love interest or not. So if a woman is attracted to me, she'll be nice to me. If she's not attracted to me, she'll be mean to me, or ignore me, or something along those lines, not give me the time of day at all. And I have noticed also within myself that I tend to size women up romantically quite a bit, although I am much more interested in friendship. And I reach out to married women to hang around with, and then I get worried. Oh my gosh, what's she gonna think? What's her husband going to think? Because they're obviously going to think that I'm trying to hit on his wife, something along those lines. And so with you, well, I can't really avoid saying that I haven't sized you up as a romantic option, because you are my age, we have a history, we love art, we're interested in film, you read, we have compatible musical tastes, things like that. I don't think you understand my religion at all, and I would love to talk to you about that, but in order to do that, I would have to be able to talk to you. And we really only send texts back and forth. 90% of them are from me to you, and I have not heard your voice in so long, and then I notice, you don't call me. You don't text me. I know we're sort of new at rekindling our contact, and there's sort of a business aspect, because I'd really love your help shooting this documentary, really would. And but another thing is, I would really love a roommate, like bad, okay? Because some of the things that have been happening to me lately have made me think that I'm going stark raving mad, such as these bizarre coincidences, problems with my half sister, problems with the women at church, being driven crazy by these waitresses that won't see me for who I am, and won't show up when they say they'll show up, stuff like that. And I have you, and here we are, and you haven't, you don't text me or send me voice or video messages, and you don't call me. And I remember when there was that time that I was just so desperate for you to call me so that I could verify you were not some kind of a bot. I've even told my daughter this, like, I need to hear your voice once in a while, because I seriously will consider whether you're an AI agent, okay, designed to drive me crazy. Nigerian scammers and whatnot, they have they'll try and scam you with fake identities, and they'll tell you they're not, and you say things like, well, okay, I'm done texting, let me call you, and they'll say no. Or let's meet in person, and they'll say no. Stuff like that. There's always some kind of a lie associated with somebody who won't call you. And then again, somebody who's your friend is not going to have a problem. Parity and equality, whether that's the basis of romantic relationship or friendship or a combination of the both. The other person should call you once in a while, as you call them. Nobody should really be, hesitant about giving out their phone number, stuff like that. And this absolutely bizarre behavior associated with women has made me really feel like I'm freaking going crazy. It's a trigger for me, like okay, he's back at going to Israel. We know he's got these women problems. We know he's got PTSD. And so we're going to trigger him. And we're going to cause all the women in his life to, be some kind of an issue for him. I would say, on the one hand, also, that most of these women, I don't think, know God from Adam. And the sad thing is, there are these Christians that are coming after me, and you would think then that these Christians would know God, but I have to say, in religion, there's false religion and there's a weak religion. Otherwise, you wouldn't have, the Crusades and the slaughters of the Aztecs in God's name and all of that sort of stuff. So, it shocks me, the spirit of the devil that you can find in religion as well, and just the absolute inability of people to be honest and say what they think and all of that. So I now have this video directly to you, and I have not described what happened to me today, and it's at 38 minutes long. This video will probably be taken down once I clean up my YouTube page, or YouTube channel anyway, but I think I'm going to have to send you another video about an incredibly bizarre 4 hours that I just had. So it'll give me more practice in getting better in front of the camera for a documentary or whatever. I hope you like it. I hope it doesn't make you mad. I can't remember if I even mentioned your name. If I did, I don't know, we can blot it out or something. I don't want to invade your privacy by putting stuff online. But about you, let me know if that's an issue. But hopefully this will give you an idea that I'm anxious for you to get here, on the one hand because I want film help, on the other hand because I'm kind of interested in knowing how compatible we actually are, and finally because I want somebody by me who kind of knows what's going on in my life, because I legit feel like I'm going crazy half the time. And this might be a good stopping point for another video. Now I have another video that I'm trying to put out, and I've been procrastinating a lot because I can't put it out because I'm trying. It's very different than what I've put out previously. I have a couple of private conversations on here, and then the big Jewish philosophy one that I just put out, patterns and all that kind of stuff. And now this one to you is going to go on there. But I have this other one that's going to be very, very different, I hope. Like, it's going to mix religion with politics, and this sort of spirituality with politics and bicycles and nicotine pouches and all. I've been really procrastinating on that thing, and want to get it out there, especially to counteract some of this nut crap I have on my YouTube page right now. But I also now feel like I just really want to tell you what happened to me today, and because it's going to be driving some of my time here, and I would love your input on it. I would love to hear what you think about these things. And I would love it if you would send me a message once in a while. I would love it if you would have a conversation with me too, so I would feel like I'm going less crazy from bizarre women behavior. That's pretty much it. Feel free to call anytime. Please get here as quickly as you possibly can, we'll take things from there, because I really need some face-to-face contact. I cannot get any face-to-face contact or any normative, regular, casual, amicable interaction with women right now. And you are an important woman for me on a number of levels. I hope you understand that. So I'm going to let this go at 42 minutes. I hope it hasn't put you to sleep. That'll be it. That's it for this session of Bailey practicing talking to a phone.